Okay, so now that we've made our nice little video detailing how to build um, the windows and doors, we're going to move into away from the OpenStudio SketchUp plugin and into OpenStudio itself. So there's two ways to do this. You can either find the file in your file folder and double click it and it'll bring it up in OpenStudio, or you can click this little Launch OpenStudio here. So here, there's a bunch of different tabs in OpenStudio. We're going to go through some of them. We're not going to need all of them to do the heating and cooling load, which is what our goal is here, but we'll need some of them. The first thing you can see is we need to set the weather file. Now, you can download some weather files at energyplus.gov. I'm just going to set it and then leave that to you to download a weather file yourself if you need to. So we're going to use Wilmington, Delaware. And the other thing we need to do is import our design days from the DDY file. And again, we're going to use Wilmington, Delaware. So now we have our design days. You can see the winter design day is January 21st, and the summer design day is July 21st. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is, the next tab is schedules, and we'll come back to that. And then there's constructions and loads and space types. So the next thing we're going to do really is to purge the space types. So really, in the space types that we have are the closed office, the electrical mechanical room, and the restrooms. So that's good. So we wanted basically to purge the space types so that way we don't have a bunch of junk when we go into our constructions. So now let's go into constructions. So now what we're going to do is purge the construction sets that we're not using. And so you can see we're going to focus on CZ4 construction set. But we see that our CZ4, if we go back to our space types, our CZ4 basically is what we're going to be using for all of our spaces. So, because we're in climate zone 4. So how the sort of OpenStudio works is that construction sets contain constructions for each exterior surface, so walls, floors, and roofs, each interior surface, walls, floors, and ceilings, and then ground contact and exterior subsurfaces, and including fixed windows, operable windows, and doors. So this is nice because then you have a set. If your building has a couple wings and each wing has a different sort of construction type, you can have a construction set for each wing instead of trying to have constructions for each individual room. So what we want to really do though is we need to modify this to match what we had in our original drawing. So we're going to go to constructions, and we're going to purge, and we're going to look for exterior wall mass climate zone 4. Why are we doing that? Because that's right here, exterior wall mass climate zone 4. And we want to basically, we want this to match what our wall construction is. Now, what our wall construction is 4-inch brick, 1/2-inch plywood, stud wall, R19 insulation, and 3/8-inch wallboard. So basically, there's some of these things that are similar, but I'm going to get rid of all of our layers since we know what our layers are. So, and then what we really want to do is go over to the library, and we're going to basically first see if our materials are there. So let's first look for 4-inch common brick in our materials. And so this is what's basically in Energy Plus by default in the library. And you can see that there's no even brick in here. So there's two different, there's another way to get more materials. So what we're going to do is go into components and measures and find components. Now, this is really important. If you haven't already registered with the building component library, BCL, then you would want to go ahead and register with the building component library. You can look at the OpenStudio tutorial how to do that, and you'll have to insert the key that you get. It's free, it's easy. So now what we're looking for first is that 4-inch common brick. So there's a whole bunch of different things we can search for here, but we're going to look for, in the material, we're going to look in opaque. So, and we're going to put in brick. So there's a bunch of 4-inch brick right here. So that's great. So we are, it doesn't matter, you know, right now we didn't specify which brick. So what we're going to do is just pick a middle of the road one, which is 100 pounds per cubic feet. So that's the density of the brick. And if we check this box and hit download, then I want to show you what happens. Then if we go back to the materials here and we look for the BCL tag, there's my brick. Okay, so let me go ahead and just download the other components, and it'll show you a little bit more of how to download these. So our next thing is 1/2-inch plywood. So we're going to type in plywood. We're going to look for 1/2-inch, which is right there. Click, download. Perfect. So now let's look for stud wall. And the nice part about this stud wall is we have R19 fill in this stud. So what we can do is we can look for one that's filled with R19 cavity insulation, which is great. So we're going to click that and click download. And then the last thing we have is 3/8-inch gypsum board or wall board. So 3/8 inch is right here. So good. So then we downloaded. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring all those materials in. So you can see that we have all these materials downloaded. And you can also see that this is the layer of our construction, outside and inside. So what we're actually going to do is start from the outside with the brick. And then we're going to go with the 1/2-inch plywood. And then the stud wall with the R19 insulation. And then the last but not least, we're going to go with the wallboard. Okay, so now we have that our external wall mass for climate zone 4, which is what we're using in our building. So all the walls are going to be like this. Okay, so as an exercise, you could go through all of these different, the doors and the floors and all the walls, but I'm going to leave that as an exercise to you, and I'll do it in my model. But you can see how to make one different construction here. In the next video, we'll go over some of the other aspects of the building, like internal loads.